Hi everyone! Today I'm going to show you how to draw this rainy day mountain scene with charcoal pencils. Let's begin. This is what you'll need for today's drawing lesson. You're going to need a piece of paper. Today I'm using this paper here. It's Strathmore toned blue mixed media paper. This is a big piece of paper actually. It's 11 by 14 inches. But the stencil that I drew, and I'll show it to you here, it's 8.5 by 11 inches, so the stencil will fit on a regular size paper, and you can download the stencil and print it out if you like. I've put the link in the description below. And I've got some of this stuff. This is black graphite transfer paper. I basically put it on my canvas, put my stencil on top, and take a sharp pencil and transfer my stencil onto my canvas. I love this stuff. If you don't have that, I also have a link in the description below of how you can transfer your stencil using just graphite pencils or chalk pencils if you're using white. So you can use regular white paper like I said, but I just thought blue, toned blue might make it the atmosphere of the rainy scene a little more realistic. So the supplies I have are my charcoal pencils. I've got HB, 2B, 4B, and 6B. I also have some white charcoal pencils. And I've got my blending tools. I have some blending stumps, some Tortillon blenders, some brushes, some of these soft foam tip blenders. I'm not sure which ones yet I'll be using, but I will leave a link, a list in the description below. I also have a basket just for my white blending tools because I don't like to get the white ones filled with black charcoal. And the last thing I have is just a piece of wax paper. I put this down so that I can rest my hand on it so I don't get my hand full of charcoal. Okay, so let's begin. I always like to start with the darkest colors first. So I'm going to start this is kind of a self-portrait in a way, because this is a fond memory for me. I'm just going to outline in black charcoal my figure here. And I'm turning my pencil once in a while so I don't wear it down too hard on one side and then I have to go and sharpen it. It's really, it's not easy to sharpen soft charcoal like a 6B. That's the softest charcoal I have, the softest pencil, which means it's the darkest. I'm sure there are 8Bs and maybe even 10Bs out there, but the darkest one I have, the softest pencil I have, is 6B. Now I'm outlining the entire figure here because this is going to be in silhouette, so there's no detail in this, so it's fine to outline the whole thing. And then we're just going to fill it all in with the 6B. Okay. And I think what I'm going to do, these lines that you see here, those were intended to be trees, conifer trees. So I should have started, I'm right-handed, so it's better for me to work left to right, up and down, left to right. So I actually should have started at this end. So I'm going to take my wax paper and I'm just going to start making my tree here. I'm going to make my tree go all the way to the top of my page. And I'm just going to right now put in just a few branches like this. And I'm going to put a lot of detail in as I go. But right now I just kind of want to get the shape of the tree going. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so I've got that going. And on this side, I have another tree, but I'm going to work on this first. I'm going to go in and I'm just going to fill in random areas on this tree with my 6B. You don't have to make it look realistic at this point because we're going to be blending this. And I framed my entire canvas with masking tape because when I'm doing drawings, especially with charcoal, I don't want my paper to move around because it's a bit messy, so I always tape it down. And I actually got this surface here. It's a little it's a little wood. I got it at the dollar store for $4. And I believe it's probably 15 or 16 inches by 14 inches. So it's a great surface, you know, to put your canvas on and use instead of, you know, taping it onto your table. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Just fill in the tree with random bits of 6B. And I'm turning my pencil once in a while, but you can see how quickly it starts to dull. It was very sharp when I first started using it. But I'm trying not to press too hard, because you really don't have to. Well, my friends, it seems I had a little glitch there. I'm really sorry about that. I film with my smartphone, and my phone decided that it wanted to restart itself. And I guess because I have my microphone plugged in, I don't have sound that I hear, so I didn't hear the beep that it warns me when it's going to restart or when it flips out. I had forgotten to put it on flight mode, and if you don't have it on flight mode, there could be interruptions. That's just a tip if you're making videos with your phone. Always put it on flight mode. I guess I had an app open in the background and it was trying to update, and because I had the video going at the same time, I have an old phone, it flipped out and it couldn't handle it and it went, I have to restart. So part of the tutorial is lost. I'm so sorry, but I'm going to show you what I did. I basically continued filling in the entire tree, and I filled in this figure here all in black with circular strokes, because and you'll have to excuse me if I repeat myself as well, because I don't remember what I said when. I was just chattering away. I usually use circular strokes when I'm applying charcoal, because if you draw lines, sometimes when you blend you see those lines, and I don't always want to see lines in my drawings. So I filled this whole silhouette in. I put just a little bit of charcoal for the ground, and I drew a line where I had the beginning of the mountain. And I said this was a self-portrait, so I'm just going to refer to this figure as me. So I drew the mountain behind me, just outlined it, just to keep an eye on what I was doing. And then I went in with my blending stump, and I blended my tree in the direction of the branches, and I just blended the entire thing. And on this side I used kind of a curve up like this, just to give the branches a little bit of a curve. And I went in like that. And that's all I'm doing for now because I'm not interested in doing detail just yet. So I apologize for that little glitch. If you need to pause the video to catch up, please do so. So again, I'll have to try to remember what I was saying here. I think I told you I put masking tape down because I like to keep my canvas from moving. And also it's nice at the end when you take it off, you kind of have a frame. So I'm just going to continue. I guess I'm going to continue with the blending stump, and I'm going to just blend in my silhouette and the ground. I'm just going to leave that mountain outline for now. Okay, and I mentioned I'm right-handed, so I work top to bottom, left to right, just so I don't smudge too much. So I guess I can start chatting away now. I have an art blog, I guess. It's not an art blog, it's my blog. It's rainfrancisart.com. On that blog, I have the link in the description below. On that blog, I host a weekly art date every Thursday. It's called Thursday Art Date with Rain. And we've kind of shortened it to TAD, Thursday Art Date, so TAD, we call it TAD. And it's a themed art date. There are weekly prompts. And this week's prompt is a fond memory. Now I'm just going to try to find a smaller blending stump in here. I have so much stuff. Okay, well, why don't I take a few things out? I've got my Tortillon Blender, and here's a smaller blending stump right here. I'll just leave these out for now. So yeah, this week the theme is a fond memory. I come up with these themes usually in every November for the whole year. I like to do that because that way I'm just as, you know, new to the theme as everybody else is, and I'm not just making themes up to suit myself. Sometimes I stump myself and I don't even know what I'm going to draw for the week's theme. But this week it was a fond memory, and I asked my friends who participate to draw a fond memory that they have. And my fond memory is from the early 2000s, when I finally decided I'd had enough of the city life. I was much younger then. My goodness, that was a long time ago. 20 years ago, wow. I was in my 30s. I was still renting back then, and I gave up my apartment in the city. I packed up my 2 dogs and rented a cottage in the mountains, in the eastern townships of Quebec, Canada. The mountain chain there was the Appalachian chain, and oh my goodness, was it beautiful there. So beautiful there. And my fond memory is the night that I arrived. It was pouring rain, and I was taking my dogs for a walk. And I had my umbrella because I was still a city girl. I don't use an umbrella anymore. And I remember smelling wood burning in fireplaces and wood stoves, and that fragrance mixed with, you know, the rain. And it was November too. It was fall, and oh gosh, that memory is tattooed into my brain. That, I think, is my fondest memory. I'm just going to give that a little huff and puff. All right. Try to get some of that dust off. Okay. I'm just going to blend that a little more because I want that really, really black. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 6B again, and I'm going to apply a little darker black on the entire silhouette. I'm turning my pencil once in a while because it's quickly getting dull and flat. I may have to break and sharpen it because I'm going to be using my 6B for a lot of this drawing. And I don't want to lose the outline of my umbrella there in the tree. So yeah, the area where I lived there for a couple of years. It was called Orford. And my cottage was right at the base of Mount Orford. And I climbed that mountain almost every day, every morning with my dogs. And when my dogs weren't able to, when they got a little older, I went by myself. And I took the ski lift down. I would climb up and take the ski lift down. This was in the good weather, you know. I'm talking about spring, summer, and fall. I'm going to give that another blend. See how dark it is? It's much darker. I want it to be. That is the focus, basically, at least of this side of the drawing, is the silhouette. If you're using a 6B or an 8B, you'll notice at some point you've got a lot of charcoal dust. Just a word of warning, if you have pets or kids around, don't blow it off your canvas because you don't want them breathing in that dust. All of my pets are on the other side of the room here. Actually, they're all on my bed, sleeping. My hound dog is, yeah, he's snoring right now. So I'll show you kind of a way that you can pick up your dust if you don't want to blow it off. I've just got a flat brush. This I got at the dollar store, and I'm almost, you know, sweeping it up. I'm going to sweep it all up. Cats and dogs snoring is such a lovely sound. Okay, you see, I have all this dust in the middle. I don't know if you can see it, but instead of wasting it, I'm just going to grab it and just put it on the mountain. Actually, I can just bring it over to the mountain here. There, just like that. There. I still have a little bit. And I can bring the rest out into the sky because I am going to make the sky darker because it is a rainy day or a rainy evening. That way I don't have to blow all that charcoal off my canvas and get it everywhere. Okay, that's just a little tip. And if you didn't want it on your canvas, you basically just pick it up a little at a time and wipe it off on a paper towel, come back, pick it up a little bit, wipe it off until you have hardly any left that you have to blow off. And using a brush sometimes softens up your art. Just softens it up. Okay? So that's just a little tip for you. Now, What shall I do next? I think I'm going to do another tree, but before I do another tree, I have to sharpen my pencil. And I have this sharpener here. I'm just going to put my paper towel so I don't get... This is a Derwent sharpener. I think it's the best sharpener I've ever had, and I'm not promoting it whatsoever. I am just sharing something wonderful that I found. If you're really careful, it does a great job sharpening charcoal. See? Nice, eh? Okay, so I'm going to basically do the same thing I did with this tree onto this tree. And this one, I think I'll make about this high here. Little bits on the top. And the same thing on the other side. Okay, that's the basic shape of the tree that I want. And I'm going to go and do the same thing I did on the first tree. I'm just going to fill it in a little bit. These trees I'm using my 6B pencil for because they are in the foreground of the scene, so they're darker. All right, I'll do the same thing here, just filling it in. And like I said, we're going to do detail after. Okay, I'm going to fill in a little bit of the ground here, just under the tree. Going in with my blending stump and doing the same thing. And remember, we're going to be putting in detail later. Let's just get the basics down here. I don't know if I mentioned it before during that glitch or not, but right now it is pouring rain outside where I live. I live in New Brunswick now in Canada. And I recently got a tin roof put in. It's amazing. I love it. When I bought this house a few years ago, I knew that I needed a new roof. And I just didn't want to put shingles. One of the reasons is because tin roofs last a lot longer. And also, part of my fond memory is that cottage that I rented in the Appalachian Mountains had a tin roof. And I remember being able to hear the rain falling. And I really, really wanted to recreate that in my life. So I waited very to the limit of when I needed a new roof so that I could afford it. And I got the tin roof put in. I'm just going to soften that mountain line here. Sounds like I said mountain lion, mountain line. There. All right, so that's all blended. Now, what shall we do next? Well, I'm going to outline my house. For that, I'm going to use, let's see, 2B pencil. I'm going to outline my house. And I'm just adding a little detail as I go along, because I don't want it to look like a cartoon. Kind of want it to look like a real house or cottage. Okay, so let me just put in a little detail here. And the tin roof. All right, what shall I do here? A little bit of this. I'm going to blend all that in. Just wanted to get that going. And I'm going to take the same 2B and I'm going to put an outline of that mountain. I'm going to finish this whole side here, the base of that whole side there. Here's another mountain. And these are going to be trees, these sticks here. So I probably should have worked on the sky first. So I'm going to work on the sky a little bit. I'm going to take my 6B and I'm just going to put what might look like clouds here and there. I don't want to go over the whole thing. But I'm going to take my blending stump and I'm going to blend all that in circular motions. And I'm pulling the charcoal to other areas. I want to fill my entire page here. And this blue paper almost looks gray, doesn't it? I'm going to just blend that even more. Don't forget, sometimes you have to wipe off your blending stump for it to be effective. I can feel my whole table shaking. I hope it's not shaking the camera. All right. Kind of like how that looks so far. So why don't we just work on the rest of the sky for now? I think we could do that. going to take my 6B, and here I noticed I pressed a little too hard, so I'm going to actually go a little lighter, and I've got charcoal all over me already. I'm going to actually use the side of the pencil to do little light circular oval shapes. Just randomly turning my pencil once in a while. All right, and I'm going to take my 4B and complement that right next to it. It might look like the same thing, but 4B is not as soft as the 6B. So when blended, it should be a little lighter, but we'll see. Don't forget to turn your pencil once in a while. I'm using the side. This kind of forces me to use a light touch the way I'm doing it here. All right, so now I'm going to go in and I'm going to blend that entire sky with my blending stump. I'm blending very softly at first. I might have to blend it twice. I was talking about how I love hearing the rain falling on a tin roof. That, to me, that is the epitome of mountain living. Some people might not agree, but I love that sound so much. It's because it reminds me of that time in my life. You know, if you think about it, there are certain sounds or fragrances or things that you see that trigger great memories. Of course, they could trigger bad memories too, but for me, the sound of rain falling on tin roofs and the fragrance of wood burning during the rain, for me, that is the fond memory comes right back, like I was still there. And I do have that here now. I'm not in the Appalachian Mountain Trail, but I'm in the Acadian Mountain Trail. I say trail. I don't mean trail. Chain. The Acadian Mountain Chain. And I have my tin roof. So that's looking good, actually. I like the way that looks right now, but I am going to go in and just going to wipe off my blending stump a little bit. Check on my phone. It's not okay. It's doing okay. Got to make sure the phone's okay. I don't want it flipping out on me again. So I'm just blending this whole sky a second time. I'm just going to wipe off my blending stump a little bit. this is a large area I'm blending here. A little bit of thunder right now. Hope I don't lose power. You see how it kind of gives the illusion of clouds in the sky? When you use dark and light, these lighter areas was the 4B, and the darker area, that was all 6B. And I think using this toned blue paper, it really does give the colors that somber look. I really like it. Need to move my white blending stuff. It's in my way. Now, when I'm blending large areas like this, I always blend in one direction, then I come back and I blend this way. There we go. I'm very happy with the sky. I really, really am. Okay, so what shall we do next? I think we're going to do... Okay, I'm going to take my 4B and I'm going to fill in all of the mountains very, very lightly. The mountains stop about here. Okay, so I'm filling in all of the mountain. I'm doing the same thing. I'm using the side of my pencil because I want a really, really light touch. And don't forget to turn your pencil once in a while. If any of you are on Instagram and you do my tutorials, please tag me. I have all of my contact info in the description and on my About section of my channel. I'd love to see what you've done. And if you have kids, or if you know someone who has kids, or if you're a big kid who wants to learn beginner drawing and painting. I also have a kids art channel called Rain Francis Art for Kids. I have a lot of cute little lessons there for kids, and well, kids of all ages, beginners really. And all that contact information is in the description below and also in my about page. Okay, so I'm going to, guess, blend that all in with my blending stump. Most of this is going to be hidden by the trees, but I wanted something for the background. I'm being careful. I don't want to get the house blended at all. When I'm ready to blend the house, I'll use a smaller, probably this Tortillon Blender. But for now, I'm just concentrating on the mountains. Okay, so now I'm taking my 6B and I'm going to go in and put more trees. I'm not, well, let me just start by putting in the trunks, just so that I have a reference. I can still see the lines that I made when I transferred my stencil. And I don't want to lose my smoke, so I'm just going to outline the smoke, and I'll play around with that later. Okay, I think that's all I put in the stencil, but I want to put a few more over here because it is a little forest. All right. So, doing the same thing, just giving it some branches. Doing that for all the trees. And they're all going to sort of blend in together when we do the first blending on this, and then we'll put in the detail after. My trees are behind the house, so when you're putting your branches on, please don't draw over the house. Careful not to draw over the house. Worst case, we can erase it, so it's not a big deal. But these are getting a little smaller because they're getting to be a little further in the distance. Okay, so we've got the basic shapes of the trees there. So I'm going to go in and blend those. I'm going to just go like this, make sure that's all kind of filled in, because I want it to be blended. I don't want it to look like the tree is like this and this tree is like this, and you know, everything kind of blends into each other in the background like that. Going to be careful around the house here. I might actually take my smaller blending stump for that, because the big one, I don't have enough control for the small blending areas. All right. A lot of squeaking. All right. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Let me just take my big blending stump and I'm just going to go underneath the tree line here and soften that up just a little bit. All right, that's looking good. So you see most of the mountain has been covered with the trees. I've just noticed some of this needs a little more blending. There we go. And as you can see, when you draw trees like this smaller and smaller and smaller, it gives the impression of them being more and more in the distance. All right, so now I'm going to work on my mountain. Actually, I'm not going to work on my mountain right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 4B and I'm going to just fill in this area here of the ground very lightly. And just to give you an idea, I'm not filling this in with 4B. This is going to be 6B because it's still in the foreground. turn and pencil once in a while. Don't forget. I'm still recording. Yes, okay. I was mentioning the sounds of the rain falling on the tin roof. Well, it just reminds me of the lovely sounds living in the mountains and in the woods. I have a big birch tree forest on my land, and it's filled with birds and little critters, and it's really, really nice. When I lived in the city, I used to get woken up by my neighbors being loud. Now I get woken up in the morning by the crows squawking at 5 in the morning because they want me to fill the bird feeder. I don't know how many varieties of birds I have here, but there are dozens of different birds, maybe even hundreds that I see. So I'll just take my 6B and fill in this area here. And I'm sure any of you who live in the city or even in the suburbs, you can relate to what I'm about to tell you. Those awful, awful people who blast their car stereos at all hours. That was the thing that annoyed me the most, that boom, boom, boom. And I used to live in a downtown apartment complex, and these idiots would just leave their radios going at all hours sitting in the parking lot below, and it was just so annoying. Now I'm happy to say that the only noise that I hear over and over each night are the coyotes howling, which is really cool. So I'm going to blend my 4B and then my 6B. All right, now I'm just going to do the 6B. Okay, I'm going to leave my house as it is just for now, but let me see, what can I do next? I realize that this area is a little darker than this, so I'm just putting in a little more 6B here. And I'm going to blend that in. I want that all to be the same shade, and I want it to be quite dark. Because I kind of want my shoes to melt into that ground. Okay, that's looking good. Okay, so I'm going to start doing some detail now. I'm going to start on the left side of my page, and I'm going to do some detail with the trees. I'm going to take my HB pencil, and I'm just going to go in and I'm going to put in some lines all the way down Not too dark, but just to give that illusion of trees. And I'm not blending that in. And on the top, I'm going to put a little treetop there. Okay? And you can go in and you can put in as many little branches sticking out as you want. These trees in the front, especially, we want them to have more detail because they are in the foreground and they're right in front of us. And because my tree kind of hits the border of my page, I'm trying to put a lot of detail on the side there. My dog's awake. He's gonna probably go and drink some water. I want my tree to kind of come out beyond my silhouette here. So I'm putting a lot of detail here. For this though, I'm going to blend just slightly right here. Because I've added to the tree. Now I'm just going to go in and I'm going to put more HB in there. All right. You may not notice, but I noticed that I can see my lines coming through my silhouette. So I'm just taking my 6B and I'm just filling that all in, and I'm going to blend it because I'm in front of the tree. All right. Since we're working left to right, or at least I am, I'm going to take my HB again, and I'm going to add a little bit of hair, just so you know there's a girl in there. And I've got maybe my face, like that, just a little hair. Okay, that's just a little bit of detail. And I'm going to go and do the same thing with this tree that I did with this one. I'm going to give it a little tree top and go in and put all of my detail. Actually, I do need this here. I'm looking up once in a while to make sure that my camera is still going. I don't trust my phone now. I need a new phone. Mine is so old. I don't know how many times I've dropped it. I really like how that looks. One tree goes this way, the other. I like that a lot. It's very sweeping. You may notice I'm turning my pencil a lot because I don't want to have to sharpen it all the time. I may have to because I'm using this quite a bit. Okay, so that's all right. What else can I do here? Well, behind me here is supposed to be the mountain, and I did use the 4B for the mountain, so I'm just going to go in and put a little 4B in here, and I might have to redo my tree there just a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to blend that. I don't want to lose my hair. Okay. Now I'll just go in with the HB and put those details back in that I had blended over. There we go. I might make this side a little longer actually. I'm going to blend below here. Okay. So now we're going to do all of these trees, just maybe the first two. Same thing with the HB. Give them a little tree tops. I want this sharper, so I'm going to sharpen my pencil. I really want to have sharp lines on these trees. At least for these two. Once we start getting to these, I don't want as much detail, but for now I do. Okay. That's better. Actually, let's see. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm just thinking out loud there. All right. Now for these trees here, I am going to do a little detail, very, very little detail, okay? Just a little bit. And I'm pressing a lot lighter. Because they're starting to become more in the background at this point. I kind of want them to all blend into each other. All right. So one thing is kind of bugging me here. This area here is too light. It's too light in between. I'm going to take my 4B and I'm going to go and do this because the mountain is all 4B color, right? And so was this. This was 4B as well. It's just a little too light for my liking. So I'm going to go in and blend that, which means I may have to go in and put more detail into my trees because I'm kind of blending that out. All right. At the same time, I'm just going to go and do that mountain. So I have to go in and put more detail, put more detail back in. But that's perfectly fine because it looks better. There we go. It blends a little better. So now I'm going to work on the mountain tops. I'm going to take, let's see, my 2B pencil, 2B. This mountain here is a little closer, and I want to be able to see kind of trees on this mountain. So I'm just doing this on this entire mountain area here. A little darker on the top. And I'm making them lighter as I go down. Okay, I'm doing this the whole way down here. I want the trees all the way down the mountain. Remember, they're straight up and down. They don't follow the curve down here. They're straight. There. Now I can just fill it in. If nothing else, this is an exercise in patience and how to draw straight little lines. Got some over here too, actually, because you can see them in between here. Let's see. Okay. I'm not blending that. I'm going to leave that as is. Now I'm going to take my HB and I'm just going to do this, a little sort of division in the mountain there. And I'm going to make a few little ridges like that are going to come down, and then a few that are kind of going up like this. And I am going to blend these, okay? Taking my smaller blending stump and just softening that up. happy with that. And for my other mountain, it's also in the foreground. So I'm taking my 2B and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do the same thing as I did on the first mountain, and I'm going to put trees all up on that mountain. I used to have problems doing random shapes. Like, for example, if I wanted to draw circles, I would draw them and they never looked random. They always looked like I was putting them somewhat geometrically or equally across my page. And I came across a trick, and I can't for the life of me remember where I heard this, but someone said count to 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like that. And naturally, apparently, your shapes will be random where you put them on your page. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like that. And I found that it actually did work. All right. So the mountains are looking good. The mountains are okay for now. We have to work on this house here. Now, what am I going to do with the house? I have my tin roof. I'm sorry, I was using my HB on this. I told you I was using my 2B, but it was my HB. I'm sorry about that. 2B would have been fine as well. Actually, I would like to kind of put a little more 2B. Just like this. Along the entire side of the mountain, because I want it to look like there's 2. And I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to use my 2B. I'm sorry about that before, guys. Okay, so there's a little bit more of a distinction between the two mountains. Now for the house, I'm taking my HB and I'm very lightly filling in the roof. And just this side here too. And I'm taking my little Tortillon Blender and I'm blending up and down. In the same direction that I have the tin. All right, and I'm going to take my 2B and I'm going to fill in my chimney. And right away with my Tortillon Blender, I'm just going to blend that in. Okay, and I had already put some charcoal on my house, and I'm not putting any more. I'm just going to go and blend that in. I'm going to leave the windows without charcoal in them for now. I want to see how it looks. But I also want to blend any harsh lines. I'm blending through the door as well. All right. Now I'm taking my 6B and I'm just going to put a little bit of a line across here. And I'm going to blend that as well. Okay. Now what can we do? We've got the smoke to do. Now this is the part where we're going to add highlight. We have all the shadows that we need, I believe, in this. And I'm going to add highlight. So since we're working on the house, I'm going to add white charcoal to the smoke. Okay, just like that. I don't want to put too much. And then maybe a little 4B in parts of that, so it's not too white. And that's all I'm doing for my smoke. And I think I'm actually going to take my 6B and I'm going to fill in the windows with dark. And the door too. And I had a little detail here. I'm going to put a little detail down here. And I'm going to take my small blending stump and just fill that in. Actually, no, sorry. I'm going to take my Tortillon Blender because it's pointier. Okay, so the house is done. Since we're on this side as well, I'm going to take my white charcoal and I'm just going to give a little highlight to the mountain on this side. Just a little bit on this side of the mountain. And I'll take my blending stump and actually I'm going to wipe that off because I don't want to put too much black over the white. I want it to show. Just blending it a little bit. Okay. And I'm going to take my white charcoal again. And I'm going to put just a little bit of detail, let me open this up, into my trees. Just a little bit, little bit. All right, I don't like this one here, so I'm just blending that out, but just a little bit of detail. I'm having so many problems with my camera, my friends. The last segment switched to auto mode, so I hope there wasn't too much, you know how it focuses and unfocuses. I almost feel like giving up with this phone. But I'm gonna keep going. Okay. And now for my hair, I'm gonna do the same thing. Just a little highlighting. Just a little highlighting. Just like that. And I'm going to go and do the same thing on these trees here. And as I get closer to the house, I'm putting less white. Because the further away they are, the darker they are, right? These aren't getting any at all. All right, that looks pretty good. Now, let me see what else I can do here. This is okay here. I might take a little bit of white and just create some interest here. And I'll blend that in. I'm going to wipe off my stump first. Just blend that in. All right, now I'm going to take my 4B pencil and I'm going to make some grass. Just on this area here. Watch what I'm doing. I'm almost just doing little zigzag lines, right? And I'm going to do that all across. All right, and with my blending stump, I'm just going to go in and blend up. I don't want any of my lines to show on the top. Okay, and then I'm going up and down here. Because we put lines in, you can still kind of see the lines, but I want them to be blended in. It looks a little more natural for grass. Okay, now the last thing we're going to do is we have to create the illusion of rain. Not the illusion of me, ha ha ha, but the illusion of rain falling. So I've got my white charcoal and look what I'm doing. Just randomly putting in all in the same direction. And I've got some on my umbrella too. Not a lot, but just to give the illusion of rain falling. Okay, and you can do some little drops. Randomly around. Now I'm going to take my, let me see, I'm just going to test something actually. I want to see how it works with the brush. Oh, this works well. Okay, so I've got my little dollar store brush and I wiped it off, and I'm just going to go in the direction of the raindrops and blend it this way. Very lightly, because I want them to kind of show on my umbrella, so I'll put in a few. Very gently blend these in. Okay. Blend in the direction that the rain's falling. There. You know, I'm really proud of this. This was hard to do because of all the camera problems, but I got it done and I think it looks pretty good. Now my favorite part in the entire world is, did I move that too much? I'm going to pull off the masking tape and hope that my page doesn't rip. Great. Oh, this looks good. I'm pretty happy with this. I don't use colored paper that often, but I'm glad I did for this. It does look gray, but it's actually called toned blue. So let me see. You can see everything here? I'm just going to take a little marker and I'm going to sign at the bottom. I think you should always sign your work, take ownership of the art that you created, and I'll bring it back in so you can see it here. There. That was great. I hope that you enjoyed this lesson, my friends. And like I said before, if you have an Instagram account and you're posting your artwork, tag me. I would love to see what you're doing. So I guess we'll see you next time with better camera equipment, or at least without so many glitches. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.